You know, our entire world pretty much runs on data. I mean, everything from the package that shows up on your doorstep to the money in your bank account, it's all connected by these invisible digital threads. But what happens when those threads get tangled? Well, today we're going to look at a hidden crisis, a kind of digital miscommunication where tiny data mistakes can cause absolutely massive global disruptions. All right, so let's just dive right in with a real-world story that shows you just how fragile these connections really are. And believe it or not, it all kicks off with something as simple, as basic, as a date on a shipping document.
So, picture this. It's 2019, and there's this huge cargo ship, just packed with goods, making its way from Asia to Europe. Everything's going smoothly, right on schedule, until it hits customs. And then, boom, the whole shipment just stops dead in its tracks. And it's not because of a storm, or a strike, or anything like that. Nope, it was a single line of code. The ship just sits there, for weeks, losing an insane amount of money every single day.
So what on earth caused this massive, expensive delay? You're not going to believe it. It was the way the date was written. That's it. The custom system, you see, it was built to read dates in the international standard, year, month, day. But the shipping company's manifest was written in a different format, day/month/year. For you and me, that's a tiny difference, right? We'd figure it out in a second. But for an automated computer system, it was complete nonsense. The system couldn't understand it, so it just rejected it. The result? Total chaos, manual checks, and a really costly ripple effect that was felt all the way down the supply chain.
And look, this wasn't just some one-off, unlucky situation. This kind of digital misunderstanding, it's a systemic problem. It happens literally every single day, quietly gumming up the works of the critical systems that power our whole global economy.
Yeah, this problem is way bigger than just shipping. Think about aviation. Entire flight plans get rejected by air traffic control just because a machine can't read the data format correctly. Or how about finance? Billions of dollars in transactions can get flagged or even frozen, all because of something like a misplaced comma or different currency symbol. These aren't just little glitches. They're symptoms of a much deeper issue.
So how did we even get here? How do we end up with this sort of digital Tower of Babel, where all our systems are supposedly talking, but nobody's really understanding each other? Well, to get that, we've got to take a little trip back in time to see how all these systems grew up.
In the very beginning, of course, everything was on paper, and if there was a mistake, a person could just look at it, use their brain, and sort it out. Then came the first digital formats, like EDI. You can think of it as a kind of digital Morse code for business. Later, we got XML, which was way more flexible and let everyone create their own data tags. Now, each of these was a huge step forward, right? They all promised this new world of universal communication. But here's the catch. Every country, every industry, they all adopted these new technologies in their own way. They created their own digital dialects. So when these systems, all speaking their own local dialects, finally tried to talk to each other on a global scale, they just clashed.
And this is the crucial lesson that all these failures taught us. True interoperability, getting all these different systems to work together smoothly, it isn't just a technical problem you can solve with a fancier API. It's actually a human problem. At its core, it is all about getting people to agree.
So that brings us to the solution. If the whole problem is really a lack of agreement, then the answer has to be a new way of thinking, a new approach we can call data diplomacy. The way forward really comes down to a few key rules. First, systems have to use shared blueprints or schemas and be super explicit about their data formats. No more guessing. Second, we have to be testing these connections all the time, not just waiting for them to break. And third, all data needs a kind of passport. Clear metadata that says where it came from and what version it is. All of this really falls under that big idea of data diplomacy.
And really, that's the bottom line here. It's not about the code, it's about cooperation. It's about the slow, difficult human work of getting huge organizations and entire countries to sit down and agree on a common language for their data. Our incredibly complex global infrastructure literally depends on it. Which leaves us with a pretty important question to think about. In a world that is more connected than it has ever been, are we really sure that the fundamental building blocks of that connection, our data, are actually speaking the same language?